I always believed the quietest threats were the ones that came wearing a familiar face. I never thought my greatest ambition would be dismantled by the person I trusted the most. My life was finally coming together. At 24, I had landed the lead role, managing the Atlas project launch, a multi-million-dollar campaign that would define my career. I was working 12-hour days, but I didn't care. This was everything. And next to me, every step of the way, was Emma. We had been inseparable since freshman year of college. She was the one who encouraged me to take the job, the one who celebrated my promotion with an expensive champagne toast, the one who constantly reminded me, "We are a team, Sarah." Always. I thought. We shared the same dream. We both wanted success in this cutthroat digital marketing world. Emma worked in a similar department, a parallel team, but she had always seemed genuinely happy for me. "It's incredible, Sar," she whispered over coffee one morning, her eyes wide. "Atlas is huge. If you pull this off, you'll be a vice president by 26. Her enthusiasm felt so real. I shared everything with her. Every stress, every strategy document, every late-night panic. She was my sounding board, the only person who saw the raw, unfiltered terror and excitement of this huge responsibility. The first sign was subtle. A critical piece of data, the key demographic study we needed for the initial ad buy, it vanished. Simply gone from the shared drive. I panicked. I searched everywhere. The launch was in 2 weeks. "Did you maybe save it locally, Emma?" I asked, my voice tight. Emma was helping me search my desktop. She frowned, shaking her head. "No way, I'm always so careful with shared files." "That's just gone." "It feels like a glitch, Sarah. That old server is terrible." We spent 5 hours recreating the data. The next day, another glitch. A crucial early press release was emailed out prematurely to the wrong distribution list. It was a minor leak, but it caused friction with our PR firm. My boss, Mr. Henderson, called me into his office. His voice wasn't angry, just heavy with disappointment. "2 mistakes in 1 week, Sarah. That's not your standard. Fix it. Now." My hands were shaking as I sat back down. I felt this cold knot in my stomach. I was meticulous. I triple-checked everything. These weren't my mistakes. "Did you sleep at all?" Emma slid a fresh cup of tea onto my desk. She looked concerned. "You're making easy errors. Let me help you review the distribution list tonight, okay? We'll find the leak." I was so grateful for her support. I didn't notice the slight, almost imperceptible tension in the way her fingers clenched the ceramic mug. The tension kept rising. Files were corrupted. Crucial meetings were double-booked on my calendar, making me miss a video conference with our overseas partners. I started looking paranoid, constantly checking my emails, constantly asking colleagues if they had seen this or that document. My colleagues began to whisper. They thought I was crumbling under the pressure. Then came the moment, the cold, clear evidence that this was not a server glitch, not a coincidence, not my own incompetence. This was calculated. I use a complex, 2-factor authentication on my main project management software. A couple of months ago, Emma and I were working remotely on an emergency project, and I briefly logged into the software on her laptop. To protect myself, I had quietly enabled an advanced logging feature, one that tracked every IP login and every significant action taken after I logged off. I checked the logs for the missing data file deletion. The timestamp was 3:14 a.m. last Tuesday. I was asleep. The IP address registered was a VPN, but the specific connection string, the unique digital signature it left behind, was identical to the one Emma used to access her personal portfolio site, one she had shown me a month prior. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. Not a glitch. Not a mistake. Betrayal. I looked at the logging screen, then across the open plan office, to Emma's desk. She was smiling brightly, talking animatedly on the phone, her hands waving dismissively, as if she had nothing to hide, nothing to fear. She was trying to destroy me. The blood rushed out of my face, leaving me cold, breathless. I felt dizzy, like the entire office was tilting. I couldn't breathe. I thought this was my rock. My sister in all but name. We shared secrets. We shared dreams. We shared that stupid, worn-out couch in our first apartment. And all this time, she was watching me climb, just waiting for the perfect moment to cut the rope. I wanted to scream. I wanted to march across the floor and shatter that smug, practiced smile. I wanted to ask her why. Why would you shut down the person who always championed you? But I couldn't move. I just stared at the screen. The log entry, the proof, was a razor-sharp blade in my chest. I took a shaky breath, pulled my chair in, and started scrolling through the history. It wasn't just file deletion. She had intentionally sabotaged the campaign's key performance indicator, KPI, tracking software. She had redirected leads, high-value prospects, from my Atlas project landing pages to a ghost page. The numbers I was reporting to Mr. Henderson, the promising early conversion rates, they were fake. They were the unsabotaged numbers. The actual reported numbers, the ones the company saw, were plummeting. They made me look like an incompetent failure, someone who couldn't even launch a simple digital campaign. And the motive, the sickening truth behind the betrayal, was hiding in the comments section of one of the ghost pages' hidden HTML code. A tiny, almost invisible, commented outline. // ready for takeover. VP promotion secured. She wasn't just destroying my career. She was stealing my future. She had calculated the exact moment my failure would be catastrophic, the Atlas project review presentation to the board, just 3 days away. When I failed spectacularly, she would be the loyal, available subordinate who stepped in to save the launch and claim my promotion. I leaned forward, putting my head in my hands, and let the shock wash over me. I cried silently, shoulders shaking, not out of sadness, but out of pure, white-hot, furious indignation. When I finally lifted my head, the soft, weak girl was gone. My tears were still drying, but my eyes were now sharp and utterly cold. There was no time for confrontation. No time for dramatic movie moments. She was winning. She had 3 days left to secure my downfall. I had 3 days left to execute my revenge. My reputation was already damaged. I couldn't just tell Mr. Henderson my best friend betrayed me with a hidden VPN. He would think I was delusional, grasping at straws to avoid responsibility. I needed proof, irrefutable digital evidence, that showed the timeline of her attacks and her motive. I realized I had an advantage. Emma thought she was invisible. She thought she was attacking a failing campaign, not a forensic investigator. The logging system I had activated on her temporary login was the key. Over the next 48 hours, I became a ghost. I stopped talking to Emma. When she asked if I was okay, I just gave a tired, vacant smile. Just stressed, Em. This launch is killing me. She bought it. She thought I was distracted and broken. I spent every moment compiling the evidence. I wrote a hidden script, designed to run during my presentation, that would pull the raw, unfiltered log data, cross-reference it with the ghost page code, and project the final, damning piece of evidence onto the screen. I knew I had to do this in front of the entire board. This wasn't about saving the project anymore. This was about justice. It was about shutting down her career before she could shut down mine. This was my digital, professional revenge. The boardroom was intimidating. Polished mahogany, 12 serious faces, the smell of expensive coffee and pressure. Mr. Henderson introduced me, a slight tremor of anxiety in his voice. He was hoping, praying, that I could pull this back from the brink. I stood at the podium, my hands steady for the first time in a week. Emma was sitting near the back, leaning forward, a picture of concerned support. She was watching me, waiting for the moment I would announce the dismal numbers, waiting for the end. I started my presentation softly, walking them through the initial strategy, the vision. I kept my voice calm, low, cinematic. The Atlas project was designed to be a massive success, I said, looking directly at the CEO. My team executed the strategy perfectly. We developed the perfect creative, targeted the ideal demographics, and our internal analytics showed record engagement. I clicked to the next slide. It showed the corrupted, low conversion numbers, the failure she engineered. A murmur went through the room. However, I continued, a slight lift in my voice. As you can see, the reported numbers tell a different story. They show a failure to convert, a massive collapse in our funnel. I paused, letting the gravity of the failure sink in. Emma looked triumphant, subtly nodding in agreement with the bad data. For 3 days, I said, my voice dropping to a near whisper, I blamed myself. I blamed the server. I blamed fatigue. I walked away from the podium, over to the main screen, and pressed a key sequence on the laptop that launched my hidden script. The screen flashed blue, and then a completely new set of slides appeared. The first slide was titled, The Real Numbers and the Digital Betrayal. The room went silent. The next slide showed a massive, soaring line graph. This, I said, pointing, is the actual conversion rate from the moment we launched. The performance we earned. Then the slide split. On the right, it showed the log of every single successful lead being immediately rerouted to a specific, hidden IP address. This IP address, I explained, my voice echoing slightly in the silence, is tied to a temporary VPN used to access my project files. This connection systematically deleted essential data and rerouted valuable leads to a ghost landing page designed to hide the success. I clicked one last time. The final slide was stark. It contained only 2 things: the commented-out code line from the ghost page, visible for all to read / ready for takeover. VP promotion secured. And directly beneath it, Emma's employee ID, pulled from the final login audit trail. Emma's face dissolved. Her confident smirk vanished, replaced by pure, naked terror. She looked like she was about to vomit. The CEO stood up slowly. He didn't look at me. He looked at Emma. Emma, he said, his voice quiet, dangerous. Is that your employee ID? She tried to speak, tried to form a denial, but only a choking sound escaped. She buried her face in her hands. She had been publicly, irrefutably exposed. My professional revenge was complete. I had shut down her entire future in one devastating click. Emma was escorted out that same hour. There was no argument, no shouting, just the cold, quiet efficiency of a corporation dealing with fraud. Mr. Henderson approached me afterward. He didn't apologize. He didn't need to. He just looked at me with respect. You saved the launch, Sarah, he murmured. More importantly, you protected this company. The VP role, it's yours. But take a week first. I just nodded. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt heavy. The loss of a friend was a dull ache beneath the adrenaline. I learned the hardest lesson that day. Success always has witnesses. And sometimes, the closest ones are holding a knife. But I also learned that professional revenge isn't about sinking to their level. It's about building a fortress of truth and using their own sabotage to shut them down forever. If you've ever been betrayed by a trusted friend, hit the like button. Tell me in the comments below, what was the worst thing a friend ever did to try and shut down your success?